about the search for valuation. You sit down to value a company. You pull up the financials, right? Annual report, 10K, 10Q. That'll give you a sense of what this company did last year. And if you have a mature company, that might be all you need, because they're so set in their path that you can pretty much value the company using last year's financials. But if you have a company that's in transition, in a market that's changing, you have to collect information about how the market is evolving, who the competitors are. When you think about risk, you're going to look at the past, you're going to look at the future. You're going to be looking at every piece of information. And my only suggestion, if you value business, is don't do a blind Google search. You know what I mean? So if you say, for instance, I have to value Uber. If I type in Uber in Google, you know what I get? Everything ever said about Google on the face of the earth. When you search, you want focused searches. In other words, you first figure out what you're looking for, and then you go looking for it. In fact, what I do is I open up an Excel spreadsheet with the inputs I need, and with each one I said, this is the number I'm looking for right now. I'm not going to get distracted, even if I find something interesting about something else for the moment. I'm going to stay focused on it. So if I'm looking at the risk in a company, that's all I'm looking for. Are there any clues I can get by looking at the company, the market, and the competitors about that risk? And at the end of the process, I'm keeping my eyes on the price. This is not about getting more information. It's about taking data and converting into information. We live in a world where we have too much data. That's the reality we face. Our job is to take that data and compress it into information that actually shows up in evaluations. So here's a simple example of evaluation of a very boring company. We all know what 3M does, right? Incredibly sophisticated stuff like the Post-it note. But don't laugh, it's an incredibly profitable product. It's a company with a long history, and this is a valuation I did of 3M in what I call the days of innocence. So the days when there were developed markets on one side and emerging markets on the other, and never the twain shall meet, pre-2008. So it is a mature company in what I thought was a mature market. In hindsight, I was hopelessly wrong. But my point is, in valuing 3M, I had to make estimates, but those estimates were easy to make. Why? Because there was a lot of history I could use. I knew what their business model was. I didn't have to figure out what they would do in the future. So it's a valuation that was centered. There was uncertainty, but the uncertainty was much smaller. The way to think about it, if you think about narrative and numbers, in the case of 3M, the story is almost done. You're in chapter 33. There's not much room for you to change the story. You can't go back and rewrite the story. So this is a valuation that you can do almost on autopilot. And this is the kind of company that you're taught to value in a valuation class in school.